Hello, beautiful people. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another beautiful tutorial. It's me, IJ, and today I'm back with a new tutorial for you guys to DIY. Do you love this gown that I'm putting on? It's a one-sided off-shoulder Bubu gown. It's a free gown. You can rock it with your belt or you can rock it without the belt. Let me show to you guys. Do you see how it is? You can rock it with belt or without belt. And it has pockets. Do you see how it looks? Do you see how beautiful this gown looks? This is what we are going to DIY today. I would like to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers, my amazing family, my returning subscribers. You guys are amazing. You guys are fantastic. Thanks for all your support. So now, without wasting much of your time, let us dive into today's tutorial. Now guys, I have folded my material in two. That is the front and back. I fold it together because this is one-sided off shoulder, so it's not going to have a zip. So we have to cut the front and back together. So now guys, here is our starting point. So let us measure our starting point. The length of the gown we are making is going to be 60 inches plus one seam allowance, 61 inches to fold it. It's going to be a very long gown. So that is the length we are making. And as you can see, this that I'm putting on is 3/4, but this we are making is going to be longer. You can decide to keep it to this 3/4, but you can also decide to make it longer. So this we are going to add some inches to make it a little bit longer. So now let us start. So here is our starting point. So here is our starting point. So from here, I will now insert my vertical measurements from shoulder to my chest line is 8 inches. To my waist is 16.5. To my hip is 22. That is from the shoulder to my hip is 22. And to the length of the bubu we are making, you can call it a kimono bubu that we are making, is 60 inches plus one seam allowance, that is 61. So we are going to take it up to measure our 61. So here is our 60 plus 1 inch allowance, that is 61. So I'm going to also make it to the other side. The hip and the length 61, including seam allowance. So now I'll make it into a straight line. Now guys, I have made it into a straight line. So let us now insert our horizontal measurement. Remember, while making this kind of bubu gown, you start taking your measurement from the center back of your shoulder till where you want the sleeve to be. So from my center back to where I want the sleeve to be will be 30 inches, including seam allowance. Yeah, this is our center back. Let's assume that this is the center back. So here I place my tape and I mark my 30 inches. Do you see it? I mark here my 30 inches. I mark there. So now the neck opening we are going to work with is 4 by 4. We can also work 4 by 3. It depends on your choice. 4 by 3, that is the depth of the neckline that we are working with. That is the width. The width is 4 inches while the depth is 3 inches. Do you see it? You can work it in that way, or you can make it 4 by 4. Anyone is your choice. So the one I'm working is, I will work 3, that is the width is 4 inches and the depth is 3 inches. That is here. So I'm going to connect it. You can use your free hand to connect it, or you can use your curve. And remember, being one-sided off shoulder, after cutting it open, we will now cut out the side that we want to be off. So now this is the neckline we are working with. And from this 4, remember we measured 30 here. So remember, on this shoulder line, we measured 30 as our length. So I'm going to come down by 1 inch for our shoulder slope. So from these 4 inches, I'm going to connect to the shoulder slope. Do you see it? So I have connected it to the shoulder slope. Basically, I've made a video on how to cut this type of cloth, but that is in top. I made it in a top video where I made a video on how to cut a bubu top. It's almost the same thing, but the difference is the length. So now, having gotten our opening of our neckline, we'll now insert our chest measurement. That is the bust measurement we are working with. Although we are not going to use it, but for the purpose of making it to be easier for us, we are going to insert it. So from the chest line, I'm going to measure my bust measurement, which is 9.5. And I'm going to add only 1 inch as the seam allowance. Then the waist I'm working with is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. I mark my 8.5 with 1 inch allowance. And the hip we are working with is 42. Divided by 4, you have 10.5. I marked at 10.5 plus 1 inch to sew it together. And now on the lower part, which is the hem part of it, that is the length of it, I'm going to minus 1.5 inch from my waist. Remember, with seam allowance, it is 11.5. So if I minus 1.5 inch, I'm going to have 10 inches. So I'm going to now bring 10 inches down to the length of my gown. So on this length of the gown, so here on my length, I'm going to add 10 inches. Here is my 10 inches, including seam allowance, because I want it to be fitted. So now, let us now connect it. So now, guys, let's connect it together. So coming to our sleeve, remember, the length of the sleeve we want to work with is 30 inches, which we now mark here and came down by 1 inch as our shoulder slope. So where do I want my sleeve to end? It will start from the shoulder, where if I want it to end at the waist, I come down to the waist. If I want it to end at the armhole, that is the chest line, I will now come down to the chest line. But I'm going to go a little bit lower from the chest line. So I'm going to mark from this shoulder slope, I'm going to mark 10 inches. This is my 10 inches. That is where I would like my sleeve to stop. So marking 10 inches here. So from this side, from this point that we started, I'm going to measure also 30 inches that we use as our sleeve length to come down to where I marked. I came down to 10 inches. So I'm going to place the same measurement here so that I can get it together. So now I will now connect it. So from here that I came down with 10 inches, I will now connect it to the shoulder. Do you see it? I now connect it to the shoulder because I want my sleeve to come down a little below the chest line. That is where I want my sleeve to come. So after making this, if you decide to put it elastic for it to bounce up, you can do that. If you also want to leave it in this form, you can also leave it. So now from the waist, I'm going to connect to where I want my sleeve to be. So now let us connect it in this form. It's a free gown, so you can connect it in this form. Do you see? I'm using my hand to connect it. Do you see it? To meet the area of the sleeve. Do you see how I connected it? So from this waist now, I'll connect to my hip with the curve. And from this hip, I'll go down to the length of our bubu. So now I'm going to go down to the 10 inches that were marked at the hem. You are good to go. Do you see it? So let's cover it good. From the shirt, let's cover it good. Do you see it? So that's it. Do you see it? Remember, the one I'm putting on has a pocket. If you want, you can add a pocket to it. If you don't want, you can leave it in this form. It is also okay. So from here now, that is from the sleeve line. Do you see the sleeve line? From this sleeve line, I don't want it to be straight in this form. I'll come in by 1 inch, or you come in by ½ inch. Let me come in by ½ inch, then I'll connect it to the shoulder level. Do you see it, guys? Our bubu is ready. So now the next thing to do is to cut it out. After cutting it out, we are going to open it to achieve our one-sided off shoulder. So guys, let us cut it out. Guys, we have cut out our bubu. So now we are going to open it up. So that is it. Do you see it? Our long bubu gown. So we are going to open it up now to achieve our one-sided off shoulder. On any side of this cloth, you can achieve your one-sided off shoulder. If you want, you can achieve it from this side, or you can achieve it from this side. So now we are going to measure it out. So now guys, we are going to measure out from this side. So I'm going to come measure 4 inches. Remember, we cut out 4 inches, which is 8 when we now open it. So now I'm going to measure 4 inches on this side. So here is my 4 inches. If you want, you can decide to come lower. But remember, the more inches you take in, the more deeper that is the off will be. So now from here, I'm going to connect to the center of the neckline. You can use your free hand, or you can use your curve. You see it? So I'm going to cut it off. Do you see it? That's our one-sided off shoulder. Do you see it? So now the next thing to do is to cut out our facing. To cut out our facing, I've done a series of video on how to cut out facing. So I'm going to cut out the facing. Then after cutting the facing, I'm going to close it up. That is, take the ½ inch of the shoulder, taking the 1 inch also, and hem the down part of it. If you want, like I said, you can add an elastic to the down part of it. If you don't want, you can leave it in this form. like it is I'm putting on now, you can leave it. But when it is longer, you feel like adding elastic, you can do that. So I will now close it up and I'll show to you guys how our bubu looks like. Now guys, do you see our bubu is ready? Do you see it? So beautiful. One sided of it is off shoulder. Do you see it? And also we have hem, the down part of it. So the next thing I did is to cut out the belt. Just take your tape, measure out about 100 inches length. That is what I did. And the width of it is just 5 inches. When you now close it up, you have 2 inches. So that is what I did. That is this stripe you are seeing. It is not compulsory. If you like, you use it. If you don't like, you can put it on in that way. It is also beautiful. And also on the sleeve, you can decide to add elastic to it. You can decide to do that, or you can leave it in this form. So the choice is yours. So now, guys, I'll put it on for us to see how it looks like. Now, guys, that's the end product of our bubu, one-sided off shoulder. Do you see it? Do you see the sleeve? It's a bit longer than the one that I showed to you guys. And also on this, I decided not to add a pocket to it because of the material that it is. But if you want to add a pocket to it, it's very easy. Just cut out 4 pieces of your material. You can measure 7 by 7. You cut it out. Then from your waist, come down just by 1 inch. There you notch it, and you measure from that 1 inch you came down to your hip, 7 inch. Then you notch it and you attach your pocket, right side facing each other, and you close it up when you are closing, and you are good to go. Do you see it? You can also decide to rock it with your belt. So let us see how it's going to look when we add a belt to it. Do you see how beautiful the bubu we have just DIY? Within some minutes, we now came out with this beautiful bubu gown with one-sided off shoulder. Do you see how beautiful? Let me turn. So guys, let me turn my back for you guys to see it. Do you see how it is? Do you see it? So beautiful. Do you see it? So guys, if this tutorial on how to DIY this simple one-sided off-shoulder bubu gown has been helpful to you guys, don't forget to like, share and comment on my videos and give me a giant thumbs up. Love you guys. See you in my next video. Bye bye.